the Church of Scientology is so afraid of.
This is SPTV.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. Welcome back to SPTV, where if you didn't know, now you know. And this morning, I decided to continue digging into this little interview that we discussed yesterday about reporter Martin Bashir. So just so everyone knows exactly what the deal is with Mr. Bashir, we asked ChatGPT, how did Martin Bashir betray Princess Diana? And this is what ChatGPT is telling us. Martin Bashir, a journalist, conducted an interview with Princess Diana in 1995 for the BBC program Panorama. The betrayal occurred through the use of unethical tactics to secure the interview. Bashir allegedly presented false information, included fabricated bank statements to manipulate and deceive Princess Diana into granting the interview. These documents suggested that individuals close to her were willing to sell stories to the media in exchange for money. Bashir's actions were considered a breach of trust and contributed to the deterioration of Princess Diana's relationship with the royal family. She was a glimmer of hope. She was authentic, and she fought for that. But manipulators like Bashir, unscrupulous men like Bashir, that were in the business of gaslighting, did her dirty. So let's continue exposing ABC News, the employer of Bashir, and let's continue to expose more unethical journalistic practices by reporter Bashir.
Support what Tom Cruise said on the Today Show.
I support anybody who's going to be out there talking about the dangerous effects of drugs.
But with the greatest respect, Mr. Davis, Tom Cruise is an actor. He's not a medical academic. He's not a clinician. Do you really think he's qualified to denounce an entire field of medicine?
Well, I think your comments right there are actually quite degrading of actors and artists. What right do they have? They have every right.
Cruise is one of many celebrities.
The man that Martin Bashir is interviewing, Tommy Davis, was the PR man that Scientology sent to sanitize their image in this report. And here you go with Scientology PR operatives, such as little Tommy Davis, who were taught the L. Ron Hubbard drill, you guys, of pretend to answer a question with something completely different. Now, before you go, oh, they're not training people to lie. Wrong answer. This drill you can find in Scientology's course, Success Through Communication. Go figure. Leave it up to L. Ron Hubbard to pitch, doing a drill that is supposed to improve your communication skills purportedly, but every answer and every question is done with the purpose of not answering a question. And there you saw the drill from Parrot Tommy Davis, who, when asked a little bit of pushback, because Martin was there pretending that he cared, pretending that he was just going to do pushback on something so obvious as, well, why is Tom Cruise giving medical advice about drugs when he's an actor? And little Tommy Davis goes to his drill: success through communication. Don't answer the question. Give them something that looks like an answer. And goes, you're joking and degrading about, you're degrading actors. Look, Tommy, in case you didn't get the question, it's not that an actor cannot have an opinion and share it. But you can go back yourself and watch the footage where Cruise did a lot more than that. And the fact is, you have no answer to give on why that happened. Because y'all in that hotel go around giving all manner of legal advice, all manner of medical advice, all manner of pseudo therapy, life coach, ethics, whatever the hell you're calling that advice. That's why you are not able to see the obvious. That Tom Cruise is stepping out of line, making broad statements about someone else's medical relationship history, which is something no one in Scientology respects, right? You don't have a right for privacy, in case you didn't notice. So, shout out to Martin Bashir, who tried to gaslight us into pretending that he was going to give this Parrot pushback on confronting actual lies, confronting actual corruption, and understanding the facts of the story well enough so you're not just acting, pretending to be a journalist.
Scientology has helped them.
The basic thing that I think Scientology helps people with is to rehabilitate their own spirit, their own nature, their own personality that was sort of buried or lost somewhere along the way.
Here we go with Christy Alley, who, as a full-grown woman, let's make that distinction about this woman. Christy Alley was a first-generation Scientologist who was given the pitch about what L. Ron Hubbard was, and she bought it. And she went on the public record here, gaslighting everyone on the outside of what's going on in her chain of hotels where she has a paid membership to. Because she failed to mention anything like that she had a paid membership to this hotel chain. So let's clarify that for the people in the back that still don't understand what that means, even though we've been literally talking about that ad nauseum. The IAS, International Association of Scientologists. You have to pay that membership to get inside the hotel. And Christy Alley, you can all GTS and find out what type of membership did this woman have to the hotels. And you know what? While you're at it, start pegging the number of the so-called donation, the tax exempt donation. Shout out to the IRS aiding and abetting all of this malfeasance, to quote Tommy Davis. So let's expose the fact yet again that the media, under the guise of let's hold people in power accountable and let's expose corruption, under that guise, go at the story because they're going to get what, you guys? Bingo. Access. Access to put John Travolta's face in front of you. Access to put Tom Cruise's face in front of you. Access to discuss and put Christy Alley on their interview. And guess what those names do for the mainstream media, you guys? Guess what that does? You guessed it. It attracts public interest. So let's go back to the fact that Martin Bashir had no problem producing fake documents to gaslight Princess Diana and to rope her into an interview. To what? Data mine her? To what? So do you see how all of this comes full circle, full circle, full circle? Let's continue watching.
Giving me all aspects of life back to me, where I can move through life confidently. I can move through life feeling fulfilled. I look forward to life every day.
Shout out to you, John Travolta. Shout out to you employing my sister when she first moved here to LA. Shout out to both of you. And now, let's really question you, John, since every single last reporter that stood in front of you has failed to pull the string on your ridiculous statement you just made to the public record. And what is that ridiculous statement? The ridiculous statement is that you are walking around comfortably. And our question is, why are you walking around so comfortably, John? Why? I mean, it's not like you didn't have a front row seat at what goes on at these hotels. Right, John? It's not like you didn't have that. It's not like you were like nosebleeds. It's not like you could say, holy moly, I have no idea. And I'm not even going to bother getting into the details of the horrors that go on there, John. That's for you to look into your mind and start questioning that. Because once you start actually using your critical thinking skills that you renounce for some reason you got convinced that, you know what, hey, I need to renounce my critical thinking skills to become part of this. Hey, where do I sign up? Start waking up to the facts, John. Start. And stop walking around so comfortably, because you shouldn't be walking around comfortably based on everything you know, based on everything you have funded personally. Because, yep, here we go again with the paid membership at the hotel chain that Monique Yingling runs. How much money have you given, John? How many kids have you lured into this hotel chain? I mean, you have literally exposed your own kids. That says it all.
Recently, speculation has swirled about Travolta, who famously produced and starred in the film Battlefield Earth, based on a book by L. Ron Hubbard.
Well, man is a primitive species, so we'll need something primitive for leverage, like food.
Did you audit John Travolta?
Yes.
Here we go with the devoid of any human emotion, you guys. I mean, John Travolta just showed me the only part that I should have ever been exposed to seeing in that movie. Did you guys catch what he said? Rewind the video and just listen to it, because it really says it all. Talk about leverage. And now here we go. Who's here? Marty Rathbun, who now is going to go on the public record and tell us about him auditing John Travolta. Let's see what Marty Rathbun says.
What sort of a man was he?
He's a wonderful man. He's a great guy. He's very loved, one of those loving persons you ever want to meet. Sensitive, caring.
It was
You know, guys, I met John Travolta at the Sandcastle when his wife, Kelly Preston, was completing OT6. He had a little private party there for himself and her. And how I was invited to that little party is because John Travolta had a personal trainer, baseball guy that he brought in to the hotel. And I was put on duty to service that personal trainer at those hotels. And when I did go meet John Travolta face to face, he was exactly what Marty Rathbun just described. Nice, loving, attentive. And it's rich for Marty Rathbun to be describing John like that, since Marty Rathbun was on the other side of the E-meter, what they called it. Marty was on the side of being the architect of the abuse that was being perpetrated on, yes, including, but not limited to, you guys, John Travolta, who's paying to be abused. And you know what? We're not here to intervene for that. I don't care what John Travolta wants to do. He needs to be questioned what the hell's going on with his kids that John just exposed to, knowing full well what goes on in these sessions, knowing full well how it all goes. So those are the contexts that you're not getting from Martin Bashir. So let's continue contextualizing this interview.
It was at the family's island retreat that John Travolta's 16-year-old son, Jet, who had autism, died from a seizure in January. As you know, Mr. Travolta and his wife suffered a very great tragedy recently. Do you know if the church ever advised them not to allow their son to receive certain medications for conditions?
Absolutely not. Never happened. The church never advised them on, in any way, shape, or form whatsoever on any aspect of their son's treatment. Never have, never will.
Okay, you guys. Notice how it almost going to stop the video at the third denial. But yet again, Scientology's PR man, Tommy Davis, a trained to lie operative protege of Marty Rathbun and David Miscavige. And shout out to all his supervisors that trained him in the courses on how to be exactly what he's doing right now. So I'm not going to get into more specifics about what happened to Jet out of respect. But I will call out the answer of Tommy Davis because he did us all the favor to know what the hell's going on. So yeah, thanks to you, Tommy Davis, we know what happened.
The tragic death has led to tabloid speculation that John Travolta might leave the Church of Scientology, something the church and Travolta's publicist fiercely denied.
I had to stop that because tabloid. So going back again to the enablers and the exploiters and the people making money on the backs of real abuse, real trauma, real children, such as Jet, exposed to a father who is paying to be misinformed, is paying to be whatever it is that he's doing in those hotels. It's not up to us to have to figure it out for him, right? But let's just really analyze how the trauma is just being exploited for clickbait. This is what you guys call clickbait. And since everybody says Scientology is so small, Serge, like you don't have anywhere near as much as a Jehovah's Witness. Well, you know what? Right there. There's your answer. Why does it get so much coverage? Why does it get so much eyeballs? Why does it get so much interest? It's because the real press really wants to know, because they really want to stop the corruption, because they really want to hold people accountable, because they really care about children being in the hands of unhinged, radicalized proteges of an unindicted runaway felon? I don't think so.
Just last week, John Travolta, his wife Kelly Preston, and Tom Cruise were at a major Scientology celebration in England. When we come back, the secrets of Scientology. We've already seen how Scientology attracts celebrities. But what principles and teachings do members practice? And what does the church say about some of its most confidential scriptures? The church says there's no aspect of life that cannot be improved through the application of Scientology principles, some of which are treatments conceived by L. Ron Hubbard. One such process popular with celebrities is called the purification.
I'm holding back, you guys, because yet again, Bashir has no idea what he's talking about. The purification rundown is not something that is popular with celebrities. If you get granted the admission, if you get pre-qualified, because remember, y'all, to get inside Monique Yingling's hotel, you better qualify. You better make sure you won't be a legal liability. Internally, they call that a security risk. So you got to go through all manner of questions and forms and tests to really prove that you got what it takes to join. And once you do, the program is the same for everyone. So Martin Bashir, again, making dumb, ridiculous statements talking about how celebrities really like this. You don't know what the bridge is, Martin. You didn't study the first thing about the subject you were going to cover and get paid for.
Rundown. What would that involve?
It's a sauna and vitamin program, some exercise to get your heart rate going, and then you would take high dosages of niacin.
Scientologists.
And that was Amy Scobie, you guys, from SPTV. And shout out to her, because you know what? She's been doing this backbreaking work of going against this for a while now. And she's still being harassed. I mean, she literally had to change her name on YouTube because someone's impersonating her. So it takes a lot of guts to confront corruption at scale. But you know what? We have you guys to thank for actually listening and caring. So shout out to you for supporting us and having to look at all this, horrible corruption just right in front of all our eyes.
Believe it can dislodge toxins and poisons from the body.
Nearly 6 years later, many rescue workers are still paying a price for their heroic service at the World Trade Center.
Tom Cruise is a strong advocate of this treatment, co-founding the New York Rescue Workers Detoxification Project, seen here in a Scientology video, which uses L. Ron Hubbard's purification.
Okay, you guys, let's just give you a little tour, okay? But let's just call this an imaginary tour, because the mainstream media that did have access to go to Celebrity Center and showed you a sauna that was actually being used at the time. You saw how they sanitized it all, cleaned it all. Everything looks so clean in it. Well, you know what? They didn't do that job here in this photo op where they have a man half dressed, everyone in robes, walking around a sauna in and out. Well, guess who else is in those hotels right there? But now imagine that having access to 12-year-old girls, 11-year-old kids, 14-year-old kids. Everyone is stuck in the sauna together for 5 hours. Let's just purify ourselves, is what they're calling it. This is the first beginning of the trauma bond. This is where it happens. You get locked in a hot box for 5 hours, and you get told that unless you don't write success stories about how you're loving it inside, this ain't never gonna stop. So the media wants to portray that they're doing investigative journalism and showing you saunas, but they're not really showing you the real saunas. They're just showing you other things. But you know what? Lucky for us that did do the due diligence, that did witness this firsthand, that did go behind those walls, that did observe all these men running around without their shirts, telling us, you're so beta, telling us, you know what? I think you were my wife in another lifetime, telling us it's just my communication and reality with you. It's just like you just have a way to just flow so much data. And if that didn't mean anything to you, well, good, because that's how these men were talking to us, since we were just adults in small bodies inside those saunas. So let's just give everyone a 360 inside that sauna that every single last one of these hotel and commercial building facilities is equipped with. And these saunas, where attorney Monique Yingling purports that a very religious experience is happening. Well, Monique, we would love to hear from you directly with a letter explaining us why getting stuck in a sauna for including but not limited to a month, 2 months. I mean, some people are in this program of sauna for 5, 6 months, you guys. Some kids don't know what the hell is going on, and I've talked to a lot of them. And you know what the main theme is? They were confused. They didn't understand what in the hell was going on. Why were they locked up in a sauna? Why were they being given ridiculous amounts of niacin to have the most horrendous flashes? They were telling us the radioactive stuff was coming out of us. I mean, how sick is what is going on in these hotels? But none of us would know if we would just listen to hear Martin Bashir. Let's continue.
Rundown principles for those exposed to toxic chemicals after the terrorist attacks of 9/11.
Now, when I started this project, is because I was in a position where I knew that I could help.
When I
The sickness in America, guys, is that actual heroes, actual people that actually risk their lives, not in stunts in movies, not with a whole bunch of everyone making sure they don't fall down, were severely hurt by what happened in 9/11. But apparently, Tom Cruise wasn't. And apparently he brought a program that, he should call Jon Stewart, who actually has had to do a lot of heavy lifting to help these poor people. Right? So since Tom is so high and mighty, and I'm sure his publicist can put him in touch, maybe Tom can say, Serge, you are crazy. Jon Stewart said that was the best thing that happened to those people. It'd be nice to know if that's what happened to those heroes that thought they were getting a treat by being given this man. And this man was just exploiting them for PR purposes of his own.
did it the first time, it was 1 week and I felt brighter and more alert. My skin was, vibrant and stuff like that.
But far away from the limelight of celebrities, Amy Scobie says the program can also be used to discipline church members. She says she was once told to take part in a purification rundown that ended up lasting 8 months.
See how the truth just literally corroborates itself, you guys? Amy was stuck in a pure for 8 months.
5,000 milligrams of niacin for months, and I don't know what that did to my body. I have no idea.
How did you feel?
I felt really, there was like gray stuff coming out of my skin, and I didn't know if it was like my insides coming out or what after that long of being in the sauna, 5 hours a day, every day.
5 hours?
Yeah.
And you kept going?
Yeah.
Well, what happened when you did it for 8 months?
That was when I decided I didn't want to be there anymore, to satisfy somebody else's demands on me, to fix me because of their preconceived ways.
The church.
And here you go again, you guys. Like, Martin Bashir could have actually cared for Amy Scobie and found out that she was a little girl when she was roped into this mess. And you see in her answer, she's trying to describe, make sense of it, and all of us have such a hard time sometimes describing what is just so abominable on the full merits of the facts. Nobody is helped by being locked up in a sauna for 8 months. Going back to the beginning of this program where, yes, Tom Cruise was practicing medicine without a license, giving opinions without a license. These people inside those hotels claim that everything goes. as long as it's written in the policies of an indicted runaway felon L. Ron Hubbard, anything goes in Monique Yingling's hotels, you guys. But you wouldn't know if you listen to Bashir, because he's not interested in learning anything. You see the glibness of this interview. It just goes from one thing to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other. And what did they even say? Can anyone keep track?
Church denies Scobie's characterization and says the program is a religious service, and to claim it as a kind of perverse punishment is gross in the extreme.
There. See, I love it when they prove their points on themselves. It's like gross in the extreme is the delusion and your lack of self-awareness to be able to understand that you can continue to defend the utterly indefensible. It's that simple.
Perhaps the most sensitive aspect of the church's theology concerns confidential scripture.
Here we go again with yet again how the mainstream media is laundering the image for this unindicted runaway felon that you see right here in the bust with the water flowing in the back. The theology. Martin Bashir, in case you were hiding in the back, cashing checks while the briefing was being held about what the hell you were supposed to be investigating, L. Ron Hubbard developed a technology. Religious Technology Center. Technology. Go GTS and find out how many times the word technology is used in the so-called thing you're calling a theology. Because is it a theology or is it a technology, Martin Bashir? Or do you even care to make a distinction? Because technology, theology, whatever, just put it there. Let's roll the cameras.
Scriptures meant only for higher level Scientologists. According to former church insiders, these documents describe L. Ron Hubbard's belief in an intergalactic emperor called Xenu, who brought the spirits of his people to Earth 75 million years ago, burying them in volcanoes. These spirits, the story goes, have stuck to the bodies of people living.
The story goes there. Thank you, Martin. Thank you so much for showing us on the record that you could not give a single F. That's all the comment I have to say about that. The story goes. All this peripheral hoo-ha that's been made about the hoo-ha of L. Ron Hubbard and what he believes. I don't care what an unindicted runaway felon believes. I don't care. I literally do not care. And the fact that some idiot like Martin just goes down that rabbit hole like a bumbling idiot, paying attention to that as if it has any relevance to the facts, as if it has any relevance on why was then Amy Scobie brought in as a child to this hotel, and then why was she then put on a sauna for 8 months? Do we really care about this Xenu story? Or is that what you're using to show us that you have a command on what the beliefs are, that you know what subject you're investigating or talking about? You don't know nothing. And it is actually shocking the more we go into this video.
Today in the form of body thetans.
They have had some really bad experience, millions, billions, trillions, actually quadrillions of years ago, which is way older than the Big Bang, basically. You're supposed to isolate and communicate with them telepathically so that they go away.
Do you believe that there was a galactic emperor called Xenu who brought his people to Earth 75 million years ago and buried them in volcanoes?
Okay.
Do you believe that?
Martin, I am not going to discuss the disgusting perversions of Scientology beliefs that can be found now commonly on the internet.
Shout out to this man, you guys. I mean, just when you think you could not be less impressed with him, he manages to impress us. So he's not going to discuss disgusting. Yeah, you're right, Tommy. Everything's on the internet. Why are these reporters pretending that it's not? Why are these reporters pretending that they have no access to any of the books that L. Ron Hubbard wrote? I mean, shout out to those people that said, yeah, you can't talk about this if you don't know what it is. Find out for yourself. Well, isn't that what is called due diligence? Find out for yourself so you're not being told.
And be put in the position of talking about things talking about things that are so fundamentally offensive.
Fundamentally offensive is what you do to children, Tommy. Just so that now that is in the public record. To push back on, anybody daring to criticize your little goo goo gaga story about whatever the hell you want to believe as an adult. Who cares? Who cares?
To Scientologists to discuss.
Well, I have the burden of my own journalistic responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, you guys. Burden of journalistic responsibility. Martin Bashir would like everyone to just take a deep breath because he's about to impress us with his journalistic abilities. Let's just see them in action. This is going to get interesting.
That I bring to this meeting, and I hope that I've been appropriately respectful of you in my asking of the questions.
Well, you haven't, to the degree that the question that you asked me, by virtue of the fact that it's been made very clear in other media entities that it's something that we consider offensive.
Imagine the audacity and the stupidity and the, yet again, media presence that cannot see if they tried, you guys. Yet again, they're just collecting the quick info to put together a little piece and make money, make money, make money, make money. This is all about making money for themselves.
And it is in violation of my religious beliefs to talk about them.
So,
violation of his religious beliefs to talk about him. Okay, got it, Tommy.
Just for clarification, do you personally believe?
I'm going to stop you. If you're going to ask me that question again, and you're going to repeat things about volcanoes and this kind of thing and so on and so forth,
Volcano isn't the Dianetics book.
We'll stand up and walk out, Martin, because what you're doing by doing that is you are intentionally asking me things which I find offensive, and you're
Oh my God, you guys. Tommy is offended.
Insisting on asking me of them. So I'm asking you one more time.
Mr. Davis, I'm not trying to offend anyone.
Mr. Davis. I'm not trying to offend anyone. Okay, shout out to Bashir, who literally just showed us, you guys, that the truth, right? He's not trying to offend anybody. He's not going to ask any questions that he should be asking based on the obvious facts. He's going to be asking these ridiculous softball questions that, apparently really offend Tommy Davis.
Anybody. I'm just trying to ask you a series of questions about the public faith that you have. I'm not trying to mock you. I'm trying to understand what your beliefs are.
Sure.
You've explained what auditing is. You've explained the growth of the church. You've done all of those things.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I am asking you in the context of those questions. Is it true that L. Ron Hubbard said that understanding the origins of the human race as described through Xenu and the intergalactic emperor, is it true that somebody would die and catch the moon? When we come back, the future of celebrities.
See, shout out to Bashir for his so-called journalistic ethics, you guys. This man who could have asked the right questions, who could have been concerned about the right things, who could have been upsetting and offending Tommy Davis with actual facts and actual things that should have been concerning to the public, such as why are children stuck at these hotels? But apparently, this man here you see on the screen could not care less that children are stuck in those hotels.
In the church.
That he keeps calling a church. But how can he claim that? He was given a tour of Celebrity Center, you guys. And just so you know, Celebrity Center is a full-blown hotel. And that's where we're going to end off for this reaction video that has me shook. And what I mean by that is the exploitation of these corporations over stories that they're using to make money for themselves needs to end. And we hope we're going to keep making that message clear over and over and over.